Hey there tech fans, Rick here again with a quick review of the brand new DJI Air 3. This is the latest drone released from DJI and it incorporates a lot of very advanced features that you're going to really care about. Now before I get too deep into the actual review of the drone, I wanted to mention that they offer this drone in several different packages. They offer it in the Fly More combination, which includes the drone, the brand new DJI RC2, a charging hub with 2 extra batteries, extra propellers, and a few other goodies that are in the box. You can also find this drone with the standard DJI RCN2 controller, which you use your phone or your tablet with on the top right here. Both of these controllers work really well, so it's really up to you as to which of those 2 packages you want. Now I like the Fly More combination because, as I've said before, you're going to end up flying the drone, falling in love with flying the drone, and then immediately want to start flying the drone longer. So you're going to run out and you're going to pick up an extra battery or 2. Then you're going to get home and realize, gee, I have to have a way to charge all those batteries. You're going to start looking for a hub. You'll also get a case. I didn't mention that. You get a really nice carrying case with the Fly More. So all those things are accessories that you're going to want anyway, and picking them up as part of that Fly More combination is really a better value. So if you're looking at the drone, look at the 2 packages and decide which one's right for you. But I like the Fly More combination because, again, those are accessories you're going to end up picking up down the road. All right, so enough about that. What I'm trying to accomplish with today's clip is I'd like to give you 5 good reasons why I think you're going to fall in love with this drone, because I've been flying it well before it was released. And hands down, it's my favorite drone to fly. And I fly a lot of different manufacturers' drones. I fly the Air series, so I've got the original Mavic Air, the Mavic Air 2, the 2S, and now I've got the 3. This is hands down my favorite drone to fly. And I'll argue pretty strongly that even though it's a mid-sized drone, it has a lot of commercial features built into it, and I'll get into that in a minute. All right, so let's talk about the drone a little bit. What DJI has done with this drone is they've used a split sensor on the front. So you've actually got 2 different image sensors on the front. One of them is a zoom and the other one is a regular sensor. So between those 2 sensors, you can have a beautiful landscape shot of a wide area when you're up in the air, but you can also pull in really tight on an object as well, because the drone is smart enough to switch between the sensors as you're in the middle of that zoom. So it gives you really the best of both worlds. And the reason that's important is because when you're flying near wildlife or people or other things, you can stay very far back and really pull in and not annoy anybody. So that's especially true when you're flying around wildlife, because if there's a duck or something there that you're trying to get a picture of, if you get close to it, the duck's going to look up and go, hey, there's a drone up there, and it's going to fly off on you. So having this up in the air and staying a couple hundred feet back and being able to pull in is a really good thing. They've also improved the camera sensing. So the camera has moved to a larger sensor. It's a 1/1.3 inch sensor, which is a really big sensor for a drone. And that's actually on both of the cameras on the front. So you're getting a big sensor with a lot of good information being collected from that sensor and sent back to the image processing. They've also improved the image processing inside, so it can handle a lot more information a lot quicker. It can apply things like automated HDR, so that if you're out flying and you turn this way and get into the sun, it gets really bright. It's not going to blow out the image because the drone's going to adjust and tamp down that brightness a little bit to give you the best possible image. All right, so as far as flying characteristics go, the drone flies incredibly long. They've improved the efficiency of the drone. They've put bigger batteries in the drone. You'll get 46 minutes of flight time out of a fully charged battery. Now, that's astoundingly long to be up in the air, because when you compare it with the predecessor, the Air 2S, it's 50% longer of flight time. Now, of course, we all know you're not going to get a full 46 minutes, but knowing I've got extra air time in the air means I have plenty of time to get out on target, find that perfect angle, make sure I'm focused, get a couple of extra pictures, record a little extra video to make sure I've got all the pictures and video I need when I take the drone back and land. So I love the fact that it can fly that long. And it's such a big difference. I'm so used to flying the Air 2S that when I started flying the Air 3, I could not believe that I didn't have to bring it back, because you get so used to how long a drone can fly typically. And I kept thinking to myself, I bet I'm going to be out of battery power, and there's another 40% left of the battery. So 46 minutes is absolutely incredible. They've also improved the connection topology between the drone and the controller. So the last generation, the Air 2S, used OcuSync 3 or O3, which was a really good technology. But that connection technology determines how strong a signal you're going to have between the controller and the drone. They've upgraded it now to OcuSync 4 or O4. So that's why there's a brand new DJI RC2 and an RCN2. So they've actually changed the technology inside the controllers. Now, what does that mean for you? Well, from a technical perspective, you can now fly this drone up to 20 kilometers away, which is absolutely astounding. Now, of course, in the US, I have to say this every time, we have a visual line of sight requirement, which means you can't fly the drone further than you can keep an eye on it, because you've got airplanes up in the air and you don't want to introduce yourself to a pilot when you're up there at 300 feet. But knowing you can fly 20 kilometers means that you're going to have a rock solid connection between your controller and the drone, so you'll never have to worry about losing connection and having that drone take off for the horizon. So it flies for 46 minutes. It'll fly up to 20 kilometers away. That's fantastic for a drone of this size. Some other improvements they built in, there's a lot of artificial intelligence in the drone, and what I mean by that is they built in automated flying patterns that you can tap a button on the screen of the controller and have the drone automatically fly in a circle around you while it's keeping you at the center point. So it's going to be able to go up in the air and shoot some amazingly good video, and you're going to get some great images there. There's 5 or 6 different patterns built in where it can fly away from you, it can shoot straight up, it can do a globe. So it's got a lot of those automated features built in, and the reason that's important is because if you're a new flyer, it's going to take you a while to get really good on these joysticks. You're going to spend some time learning how to fly and how to get the drone spun around an object. So having those features built in means the first day you put the drone up, you can create some incredibly good content just by hitting one of those automated features. Another really nice feature it's got built in is the follow me mode. So you can actually zero in on you, and then you can run, you can get on a bike, you can get on a skateboard, and the drone will follow you through the landscape and keep you in the center of the frame. Some other features that are built in around safety, which are really important. It has a return to home feature, so if something happens with the drone that could be a bad thing, it'll actually automatically elevate to a height you've set in the application, spin to face the home point, fly back and land exactly where it took off. And when I say exactly, it's got precision landing built in, which means it lands within 5 or 6 inches of where it took off. That's an incredibly important feature because heaven forbid something happens with the drone, you want to make sure it finds its way home and you can recover the drone. It'll also watch the battery levels. So if you're like me and you get real excited when you're flying, maybe you're not paying attention to the battery levels, and if you're way out there, the drone will realize, gee, Rick, you're not paying attention to my battery levels. I only have enough energy to get back. It's going to take over and do the return to home. It has a very sophisticated crash avoidance system built in, and there's 2 levels to that. So the first level is basic crash avoidance, which means it's looking all around it in 3 dimensions. So it's looking to the sides, top and bottom, front and back. And if it sees something you're going to run into because you're not paying attention, it'll stop and it won't actually run into that tree. But it's got another feature built in called APAS, which is Automated Pilot Assistance System, which is way more intelligent, where the drone is constantly drawing a 3D map of the area around it. And when you're flying through a heavily wooded area, the drone already knows where the holes are. It'll find those holes and navigate through that environment. It's absolutely incredible to fly this drone through a heavily wooded area. It's going to find the holes and get through there just fine. Another safety feature built in, which you won't find in anybody else's drone, is something called ADSB. ADS is a broadcast system that planes use where they're sending a beacon out when they're flying, and that beacon will tell people around them that can pick up that signal what direction that plane is flying, it's heading, how fast it's going. And knowing that there are planes in the area is really important, because if you're flying your drone, you're going to stay under 400 feet because that's the law, but sometimes planes come down and start landing. Maybe you're out in the farming area where they're going to do crop dusting, or you're near an airport, some small grass airport where the guy's going to land on his farm. You want to know that a plane's in the area, because the last thing you want to do is have your drone up at 200 feet with a plane coming in at 200 feet. You can see what's going to happen there. Just do the math on it. So I love that ADSB feature. And a couple of times I've been flying down the shore especially, and all of a sudden the ADSB beacon starts beeping, and I know there's some sightseeing plane coming along the ocean, to show people what it looks like from above. So that ADSB feature is really great as well. In addition to that, the drone is fine-tuned. And what I mean by that is they've had several generations of drones out for the last 10 years or so. What you're getting here is really the culmination of all that development effort that DJI's put into designing a drone, and it's built into this unit. So what you've got essentially with the Air 3 is the latest and greatest. It flies longer than any other drone in the market. It'll fly further than any other drone in the market. It's got a phenomenal imaging package, a ton of artificial intelligence built in. It's got safety features galore inside the drone. So for me, it's a phenomenal drone, and hands down my go-to drone when I head out to do any kind of commercial work or just fooling around on a weekend trying to get some beautiful shots of a forest. I love this drone. I've been flying it for weeks now, and I think you're going to like it as well. So thanks an awful lot for watching. I hope you found this review helpful, and until next time, as always, stay nerdy.